the fascinating and ever-changing world of agriculture. Let's hit the road here in Georgia and meet the farmers, producers, makers, and bakers who keep us all fed and keep us coming back for more. Straight ahead at the fork in the road.
There's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Georgia farmers, artisans, merchants, and producers, we depend on these men and women every day of our lives through the choices we make and the food we consume. Their strategy and approach is always shifting, but the end game remains the same: results. Let's begin this episode down in Metter and Savannah to discover, or rather rediscover, the original Georgia-grown caffeinated beverage. You may say that these look like a bunch of bushes. That's because they are. You'll add that you've seen them before, and once again, you probably have. But did you know that this one is a male and this one is a female? Or that these leaves were frequently used by Native Americans to calm nerves, purify water, suppress appetite, induce dreams, heal wounds, and regulate menstrual cycles, just to name a few. Yopan Holly farmer Lou Thoman found this research quite fascinating and has since made a career out of learning more, and in turn, sharing more about the wonders of Yopan Holly with the likes of you and me.
This is the Yopan Farm, research farm. And my position is I'm founder and CEO, or, chief leaf, I don't know. My family and I, about 11 years ago, had a nature walk on Ossabaw Island, which is a barrier island off of Savannah. And we were accompanied by a naturalist by the name of John Crawfish Crawford, who's a local legend around the waters of Savannah. And he introduced me to the Yopan tree. And he told us about the Native American medicinal use of the plant, also its use as a native tea. I just fell in love with the tree. It spoke to me, and I knew at that moment that I was on a different journey. Yopan's a native species, so it likes this region, and we're in the region where it grows naturally. What I did here is I propagated wild Yopan from a maritime forest down in Darien, Georgia on Bird Island, and I transplanted them here, and it loves the soil, loves the climate. What makes it interesting as a row crop is it's drought resistant. The deer really don't like it. It's the last thing they're going to eat. It's cold resistant, and it keeps on growing. It's an evergreen. You just cut it back and it grows back. So it's an interesting endeavor as a row crop.
Lou grows some in the shade and some in the sun. And they do grow well down here in Metter because, after all, it's the plant's native environment.
So here's a Yopan right here, nice healthy one.
What makes it look healthy? What are you looking for?
It's green, it has new growth, even though it's kind of late in the season. It's going to be dormant soon in the winter, but this is new growth right here. And that has all the good stuff in it. It's kind of like all the power, the caffeine and the antioxidants are all right there. I mean,
is it the leaf and the stem?
The stem, the pliable stems. And it's got, nice and green. And it's a really strong leaf. It's waxy and firm. So here we have some samples of Yopan under high shade. So it's blocking out a lot of sunlight. And we know in natural forests, you tend to see larger leaves. And this is just a beautiful plant. And this whole section we're studying under the USDA grant to see what kind of chemistry we get in different shade conditions with different fertilizers as well. And as you can see, this is just a magnificent tree, and all these are big, luscious trees. It does love the shade. Things like theobromine, like the sun, caffeine likes the shade, so these would be higher in caffeine than the ones in the direct sunlight. However, we're trying to see if we can change that a little bit by giving the Yopan in full sunlight different fertilizations as well. So we're still trying to figure some things out about what happens in direct sunlight and why.
Theobromine, you had a name for that, a nickname.
The elixir of the gods, that's the alkaloid that's in dark chocolate that everybody craves. And so Yopan has a lot of it. And it's an interesting possibility to extract the theobromine as a product. You know, people want the feel-good elixir. Yopan was also referred to as the Christmas berry tree during colonial times. And the colonials really loved it as a tea as well. But the berries, we think, have nutritional or medicinal value as well. We just haven't really done a lot of work on that. This is a male plant, so the female has berries, the male does not. And it's an incredible pollinator too. It makes beautiful honey. It almost tastes savory. It's sweet, but not sweet like a lot of honeys. A lot of people say that it tastes like a little rosemary in it.
Lou and his business partner, Lori Judge, have gone all in on Yopan since 2010 when they were first introduced to the plant. Since then, they have achieved many firsts in the industry. They took the first ready-to-drink Yopan tea to the market, received the first USDA grants to promote Yopan tea, started the first dedicated Yopan farm focused on perfecting techniques for growing and processing, and established their position as the first national distributor of any Yopan product.
It's neuroprotective, anti-diabetic, anti-obese, cardiovascular productivity, anti-cancer activity, antibacterial.
And in 2019, they took it a step further, sharing their amazing product with residents and visitors in Savannah, Georgia, with the opening of this adorable tea house and apothecary in the heart of downtown Savannah's historic streets.
Everything in this store has some tie-in to the Yopan Holly plant, the plant that we are very passionate about. Yopan was used for skin care, for wound care. It's an antibacterial. And it's also full of those saponins that I mentioned, which are great for skin. It's great for the internal part of the body, but it's also really good for your skin. So we have a daily facial oil. We mix this with all organic, beautiful ingredients. And this is our biggest seller. Vogue magazine did a piece on this particular product, and that's our biggest seller. Herbal smokes. Medicine men did smoke Yopan. We don't know a lot about the tradition of smoking it, but it was smoked to maybe invoke dream sequences, maybe to help divine what kind of remedy he should give to his patients. We also have Yopan incense. Being a sacred plant, we thought that would make a great modern day product, and people love it. We sell a lot of these. Ready to drink teas. Once again, a modern version of an ancient tradition.
And it's here I had the opportunity to discover this amazing Georgia-grown product that Lou thankfully rediscovered and continues to explore. So cheers to Lou and the Yopan Holly, and only time will tell what new therapeutic and tasty qualities this unassuming little plant has to offer. From Savannah, Georgia's oldest city, down to Darien, the state's second oldest city, where I met a man who brings those tasty Georgia blue crabs to the shore. A city founded by hard-working Scottish Highlanders with big dreams. After a few ups and downs over the centuries, the Darien of today has rebounded and is as charming as ever. And here, seafood is still king. Along with the picturesque shrimp boats that explore these back rivers, there are fishermen searching for other tasty coastal treasures. One in particular, the Georgia blue crab. Let's meet McIntosh County crabber Brian Vickers. You are a crabber here in McIntosh County. Is that the right term for it?
Yeah, that's it, a crabber.
Tell me about your morning.
Hey, every morning we start out anywhere from 6 to 7 o'clock, get our bait, get everything loaded up, get everything going, and then we start the day, start pulling. Roughly about 5-6 hours a day pulling traps.
And we're going for the sweet blue crab, right?
Blue crab, that's right.
What are you going to have me doing here today?
You want to get your hands in the tank?
I got to get my hands in there. Yeah, the crew's going to mess with me here.
Okay, I got you. I wish I brought another pair of gloves for you.
Okay.
I'll let you try it barehanded.
Yeah. We'll see what happens here. Seeing these winding rivers and pristine, uncrowded marshes at sunrise is a wondrous sight. It's like cutting through glass, and the color is constantly evolving. And today was a prosperous day on the Altamaha River Delta for Brian and me. Hey, I'm happy.
It's constantly cleaning these things this time of year. The grass grows on them. And if you don't keep them clean, they get to the point they won't catch nothing.
couple of big ones in there.
Oh yeah, couple.
So they're angry, so I'm not gonna stick my hand in right now.
One of these cans got to be at least 5 inches.
5
Right
inches.
there's about 5.5. That's
Okay.
Here's 5-inch mark.
Oh, got it. Okay. See what mine does here.
See if he makes.
Ah.
So you can handle that crab.
Ah, okay. Yeah, this one, I'm not afraid of this guy. See? I'm gonna let you work with those right now. All right, so we made them all. So he's trying to bite me, look at that.
If you gonna grab like that, just push down on his back and grab him by his back fin. Woo! I won't do it tight when you get over to it.
Yeah, I see him reaching around.
See, I'm wearing thick gloves too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that makes a big difference too.
I don't need gloves.
I'm tough.
Yeah, I'm tough, but you see I'm not reaching my hand in there. I got this one and I'm happy how I am. Get right under it.
Yep, you're right in front of the rope. Pull you right up to it. Yeah, I got it. Now throw the rope up in the puller.
All right. Push down hard, right?
Yep.
Oh, but he's hanging on to someone else. Oh, yeah. Let him go. He's not worth it.
He won't ever turn him loose because you holding him.
Yeah.
He won't turn that one loose.
Look at that. What do we got here?
Garfish.
It was a garfish.
Garfish, yep.
So he got his head in there.
Yeah.
And there he goes. So the gar got his head stuck in the trap. These crabs annihilated him. Man, I love the blue color on these claws. Yes! I was so sure I was gonna blow at him. All right, 2 for 2, yes sir.
Once you get there to grab one, just reach in and get hold of it.
I gotta commit, right? Well, yeah, they're fighting. Oh no. Yes! Oh, I flipped another one. All right, I know you got work to do here. Sure was fun. That was crazy. You just hear the. We're catching crabs, and I think I'm gonna be eating later.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate it.
I do too, bud. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
After gathering a bushel or two of tasty crabs, I tracked down local resident Davis Poole of the McIntosh Rod and Gun Club, where one of their traditions is a crab boil. And these are the type of folks who do it right.
Davis, thanks for letting me bring the crab here.
Glad you came here.
Yeah, you guys do this all the time here, right?
We do. We host a couple of events every year, fishing tournaments, and we have an annual oyster roast and a low country boil.
I've done it before, but I want to do it right the first time because people are watching.
All right.
All right, show me what to do here.
Basically, you can take the crab, break off both claws, take a device, open up the shell itself, peel it back. Basically, you're backing it. Break off all the legs, break off the swim bladders because they don't taste that good, and there's your back. You have 2 big chunks of meat inside there that you have to pick out, and you have 2 beautiful claws that you can break and eat right now.
I was really good in school for the first 2 steps. They 1, 2, come back, get the tool,
Peel that open.
peel that open.
Excellent. And there you have a body. And then you pick the meat out the individual body, and you pick the meat out of the individual claws. Chow time.
Oh yeah, that's where I start talking. Sweet, savory, buttery, all those things.
Good blue crab.
Thanks, Davis.
Our pleasure.
So after the savory crab and soothing tea along the coast, we journey up to Statesboro for dessert, where Johnny Boy himself whips up a few magical cookie concoctions. Remember Grandma's cookies, freshly baked, soft in the center, and made with a touch of love. Well, this guy sure does. So much so, he's made a career out of it.
Who doesn't love cookies?
Johnny Womack and his wife Hannah have now centered their lives around this circular masterpiece. Johnny Boy making the natural career transition from medical supplies salesman to cookie scientist.
I would go to doctor's offices and I would do lunches for them. I was doing a lunch in Savannah and I was like, hey, you guys come on in. I got you some Chick-fil-A and I made lunch, I made dessert. I made some caramel apple cookies and there's some chocolate chip in there. So y'all just come on in, let's go over everything. And I'm up there giving my little spiel and I remember like one of the doctors was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He took like one bite of the cookie and he's, you made this? And I was like, yes, sir. And he said, well, I don't know what you're selling now, but you need to you need to really start looking at selling these. And I was like, okay, thanks for the advice. I did think about it. Yeah, I wasn't really planning on it being like a side hustle kind of thing. Like, it was more just a hobby. I started getting more phone calls about the cookies than I was about the drugs we were trying to get the doctors to prescribe.
Everyone loves cookies, yes, but like, you know, you think about a kid eating a cookie, they'll eat anything that has sugar in it and they'll like it. So we wanted to make something that kind of had like a layer of flavors.
I try to base a lot of my stuff on Southern traditions, how I grew up eating.
I think when Johnny gets in the kitchen and he starts working on these recipes, you know, in the back of his mind, he's always thinking about like the experience that someone's having. So it's about more than just eating a cookie and getting that satisfaction from just a sweet. It's got to be more than that.
They've coined it as the world's finest cookie.
We like really retro stuff, and like everything back in the 50s and 60s is world's finest.
World's
stuff, so.
finest.
And you best not argue until you've tried it.
This is our brownie cookie, so it's dense, chewy, you get hints of hazelnut. I remember whenever I first made the salted caramel brownie batter, that cookie dough is so good. And I like tried it and I was like, oh my God, this is like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. She would be asleep like
it's always in the middle of the
bed,
night.
and I would be like,
Normal
oh my
people
God,
sleep.
try this. And she's like, huh, what? Then I'm like, here, try it. Are you awake? Yeah. She just,
In my sleep,
And
just
she goes,
feeding me dough.
yeah, that's good. This one is our caramel apple cookie. So it's an oatmeal-based cookie with diced Fuji apples and caramel bits. Balancing out the flavors is like probably the biggest thing that sets us apart. Not that everyone can't do that, it's just the amount of time and effort, and even like standby recipes, I'll still tweak sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I'll make like a small batch just to try to see if you do this a little bit different, can it make it better?
So without giving away any epic grandma secrets, Johnny Boy took me to the bakery to see the magic in person.
Here was our original recipes for the cookies. So white chocolate macadamia, chocolate chip, peach cobbler. This was most of my note taking when I was making stuff. There's almost nothing in here about methods or anything. Cream pies, double chocolate. Today we're gonna make chocolate chip. I always do both sugars together. We do a granulated sugar and a brown sugar base. And then I'm gonna let those go ahead and start getting to know each other. We use a Madagascar bourbon vanilla. It does not have bourbon in it. It is from the island bourbon in Madagascar. I learned that later. A dozen eggs. Making sure that all of the butter and flour and everything is all combined well is one way to ensure that we have consistency with our cookies.
So whether you gather your cookies from Johnny Boy's Statesboro store or track down their popular food truck, you can't go wrong in the end. Because after all, you will be consuming the world's finest cookie. It says it right there on the sign, so it must be true. From Statesboro, we journeyed to Carrollton for our final stop on this sweet and savory tour of Georgia to learn more about beer, printing, and of course, Matt Damon? Just a couple of miles from charming downtown Carrollton lies a printing company where they brew beer and grow hops. Brewery founder Greg Smith explains the unordinary beginnings of the Printer's Ale Manufacturing Company. Printer's Ale Manufacturing Company. Sounds like a brewery, right?
It is. It's a brewery.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Manufacturing, because I always like making things.
Okay.
And so I thought it sounded old school as well.
I like that. Well, you say old school. This company, your family, goes way back. Let's go to the beginning.
The printing business I knew about forever. My great-grandfather started that company in 1911 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. We started in Scranton, Pennsylvania. We came down to Carrollton, Georgia, like 1981 is when the plant started here in Carrollton.
This was printing. What were you printing?
record labels at the time.
Okay.
So CBS, Columbia Music, opened up a record pressing facility in Carrollton, Georgia, of all places, in like 1979, 1980.
It's really neat because you go downtown, there's a vinyl shop.
Yeah,
Of vinyl records, and you don't see that anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy how vinyl has actually come back.
Yeah, it really is.
I like vinyl. I collect those records all the time.
Yeah.
So the printing facility was here, and we started the brewery, was it 2017 is when it started up.
But the brewing went way, way back.
I didn't know anything about the brewing until my uncle showed up here one day, literally like a year after we opened. My uncle shows up, and he says, "You know, your great-great-great-grandfather was a brewer in Germany." Great-great-great-grandfather. Yeah, Martin.
That's legit in Germany.
Yeah, Martin Fisher. So he sent me the information, he sent me the pictures, they're up on the wall in there, and I went over to Germany, my wife and I did, and I saw the place on the wall. It still exists, it still looks exactly like that. I met the guy who owns it. His family bought it from my great-great-grandfather. And yeah, that history is kind of fun.
And it's all connected to Carrollton, Georgia.
Yeah, to Carrollton, Georgia, for sure. I've been a home brewer for 20-some years, and Carrollton didn't have a brewery. So I went, well, I could just move my brewing equipment over here and put it back here. So I literally, well, that'd be fun. And I opened up a little brewery. I could have a little nano brewery for Carrollton. Yeah. So then I got Excel out, opened up a beer, started doing some math on it, and realized you can't make any money doing 1 barrel, 2 barrels, 5 barrels. But 20 barrel would be a nice system if you have any success. So that's what I got.
And Carrollton and this whole area appreciates it.
Yeah.
I look at the flavors, and they look very similar to when I'm mad at my printer and trying to figure out that I have to pay $50 to replace the ink.
Yes. Cyan, magenta, yellow, black are the 4 colors that we use in printing all the time, every day. And so that's why it's called everyday magenta, yellow.
But then we get to a beer like this.
Matt Damon.
Cries
when he's sad.
Why?
Why? So that's a New England IPA.
And it's really good.
Yes, thank you. So the New England IPAs are really about New Englanders. That's what
He's a New Englander.
Yes,
okay,
he's
got
a New
it.
Englander.
So again, why does Matt Damon cry?
So yes, Matt Damon is, he's got this image, to me at least, of being like the super soldier, you know, the guy who can destroy everything. And then his other movies, he's kind of a psycho a little bit. Even in Good Will Hunting, you know, he's incapable of crying until the end when Robin Williams is not your fault. It's not your fault. And so Matt Damon finally has some emotion in that movie. He's down to earth, he's a person, he cries. He feels just like the rest of us.
Something else I like, you kind of go from room to room, and it's not like the rooms get small. You go through a doorway and you got a big room like this. You also have great outdoor space. This has got to be a wonderful spot for the whole community.
Yeah, for sure. It's 15 acres of land out here, and you wouldn't even know it when you're driving by, and you know, it's an industrial park.
Yeah. When I first drove up, I saw these long strands, look like a giant wine growing, but it's not wine. It's something that you don't see much around here.
Hops. Hops. They require a lot of light, and we don't get as much light as they need. So they grow well, but we'll never get enough to do our core beers or to do a lot of beer with them. We get enough to do specialized beers. So we have a wild beer program. We put hop wort in a cool ship. It's a big open container. You let it get inoculated by the wild yeast of the area. And then after you bring it out, you can dry hop it with cheesy, old aged hops. We call them estate hops.
Estate hop, that's very formal.
It is, right?
I like, it's neat you do that though. You give people a taste of what can be grown around here.
Yeah. I didn't really know what to expect when we started on this, but the whole city's been great. It's been fun.
And a good ride. You're making a lot of people happy, doing a good thing.
For sure.
All right. Well, to Matt Damon.
To Matt Damon.
So from frothy, refreshing beverages to tasty crab, calming tea, and the world's finest cookie, we now conclude this sweet and savory sample of Georgia-grown goodness. I'm David Zelski. See you at the next Fork in the Road.